The Omniprism was one of the most well-received materials in existence on its initial release. In fact, so many players bought it that the developers quickly released a second Omniprism bundle to see if players would spend more Lapis. I'm pretty sure a lot of players did. I still have 3 of them and haven't used a single one. With that in mind, is the Omniprism really that impressive, or is it just a bunch of washed out hype? Before we get into the meat of the argument, let's establish what an Omniprism is. An Omniprism can take the place of any unit awakening prism, which are necessary if you want to awaken a character from 6 stars to 7 stars. To get a specific unit prism, you can convert the original unit or buy the prism from some other location. This is sometimes through King Mog when there's an event going on, or the Trust Coin shop, which tends to hold super specific collaboration unit prisms. And then there's the unit of choice tickets, where you can exchange 8 of them for any unit that's available in the EX pool. This tends to be the most common place to get prisms, probably next to converting a newly summoned unit. As you might be able to tell, the ability to take the place of any other prism sounds really good. In fact, that 10,000 Lapis price might not be too much of an issue. After all, 10,000 Lapis is a relatively cheap price for getting a specific unit from the summoning banner. But here's the thing, unit of choice tickets aren't that difficult to get, and it's just a matter of time until you manage to gather 8 of them anyways. That's not the only point. The developers tend to give us a good amount of free tickets and pulls, and if luck's on your side, you may eventually get the unit you're looking for. To put it simply, there are far more economical ways to get a unit's prism. As a result, most experienced players have developed a certain mindset to Omniprisms. Only use them on limited units. These are units that would not be featured in the unit of choice exchange pool or other common sources. Without the Omniprism, the only way to awaken them is to pull a second copy of the character so you can convert it to get a prism, and that might not always be possible. And that's where the Omniprism comes in. As I said before, given the price of step-up banners anyways, 10,000 Lapis isn't that expensive. And it's in a bundle that comes with a bunch of other goodies, like 2 guaranteed 5-star units. So at this point, the Omniprism bundle is looking pretty tasty right now. But before you buy, you should do some inner reflection first. Dive into the depths of your mind, do some soul searching in order to answer one important question. How do you feel about limited time units? Think back to the original limited 7-star unit, Adam Jensen. Or maybe it's someone else, I didn't really care about him either way. Keep going to the next units. Dragon Lord, Demon Rain, Lenif. Honestly, Lenif was pretty bad to begin with. Regardless, answer this question. Do you believe that limited time units are a waste of resources? That no matter what they'll ultimately be power creeped and left behind in the dust? There are several good limited time units. Sanwu and King Long, and a lot of players use Carton for one-hit KO strategies. But if you believe the first point to be true, then seriously, don't bother buying the Omniprism. Players with that kind of mindset would probably save the Omniprism for a future better limited time unit, and ultimately never use it. But if current and future performance isn't too significant of a factor, and you plan to summon and awaken a certain time-limited unit anyways, then purchasing the Omniprism bundle would be a good way to spend your Lapis. But when I talk about the future, there's one specific thing that I can't just ignore. What about Neovisions? With Neovisions on the horizon, I highly doubt that the Omniprism will remain a valuable resource. You see, there are 2 types of Neovision rarity units. Those that you can awaken through certain 7-star units that you may already have, and those that are already obtainable at that rarity through the summoning banner. And to be frank, the newly released units will most likely be far stronger than those available through older units. That's not to say that older units are terrible compared to them, but I believe that is the route that Neovision units are fated to follow. It's just like the 7-star units. Older units will definitely receive a boost in their gameplay, yet they'll ultimately be overshadowed by the newer units. Regardless, this is a universal truth in Final Fantasy Brave Exvius anyways, but that doesn't change the fact that the Omniprism's value will wane if things continue in this direction. I myself have 3 Omniprisms. I bought the first one when it was initially released, got the second one when the bundle was reintroduced, and I have no concrete reason why I ended up buying the third. In case you were wondering, I'm the type of person that doesn't put too much stock into gameplay when I summon a unit. Of course, if the unit in question is terrible, it would certainly make me pause before I tap the summon button. But at the same time, even if a unit was incredibly powerful, I wouldn't really care if the character itself didn't appeal to me in the first place. Oh, on that note, don't buy the Omniprism if you just want to awaken Zenaida here. She's a good unit, that's for sure, but she's also available in the regular summoning pool and her prism can be exchanged for 8 unit of choice tickets. Well, I digressed. Back to my original point. There's generally no reason to get more than 2 Omniprisms. Since this is the global version of the game's release, we do have the ability to look at future units when they're released in the Japanese version first. As such, you can look at future limited time units and decide if you want to get them or not. But on the other hand, it's certainly true that the global version of the game has released exclusive units that took us all by surprise. Even so, global exclusive units tend to be one of 2 things: limited and not limited. Which brings us all back to one original point. To what extent do you care about limited time units? Thanks for watching, and if you like this video, make sure to leave a like and subscribe. Comment below on your thoughts on the Omniprism. Do you plan to get it? Do you already have one to begin with? Have you even used one before? I'll go first. I think of it as a very loose form of insurance. While I haven't felt the need to use the Omniprism before, I don't want to be in a situation where I find myself wishing that I possessed it. But at the same time, I spent 30,000 Lapis on a material that I never ended up using. As a result, you do have to wonder if you find yourself in a similar situation.